Hello everybody and welcome back to the Dream Team Tonic podcast, episode number 74. I'm Tony, and with me as usual is Ben. Are you there, Ben?
I'm here, mate.
And James, are you there?
I'm here, Tony.
And for the first time this season, former champion, Andrew Ferguson. Are you there, mate?
I am, buddy. Thanks for having me on. Very excited for the new season.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you back for another season, once a month. This is probably my favourite pod of the season. I think everyone loves this pod when everyone gets their drafts out. Patrons, new sign-ups. So just a big welcome along to Levi Brown, Alan Thomas, Jordan Jackson, Brian Blackett, Michael Wright, Eddie Morgan and Scott McKee. Thanks very much for your support. Hope you're all into the Discord, enjoying the extra content, enjoying the chat on there. Got a great bunch on there, all helping each other out before the season begins. Fergie, as a guest, you're first up, mate, with your draft. Talk us through your thoughts behind that, mate.
Well, first off, how hard is it? Flipping heck. There's so many options and so many variations. It's been ridiculously tough. But I think I've stumbled on 11 or 12 or 13. I've still got some final decisions to kind of make, but I think I've got a team I'm reasonably happy with so far. This may obviously change before game week 1, but not structurally, I don't think. So I've got Lloris in goals. I do fancy Spurs to have quite a good defensive record this season. Think they'll improve again under Conte. I think he's a brilliant manager. I think Spurs are the only team in pre-season over the summer that have basically got the same team as they already had, but they've strengthened. I think like Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea are all going. I think all those teams are having a bit of a restructure, and they're going to maybe take a little bit of time to bed in. I think Spurs, I'm hoping as a fan, are going to go off to a bit of a flyer. So I fancy Lloris 3.5. Obviously, won't have to change him later on either because they'll be in the Champions League. So happy to have him in. At the moment, I've got Trent and Robertson. Obviously, Trent could be Cancelo, but I think Robertson 5.5 is probably a bit of a snip this year. I think since Diaz has been playing second half, Robertson has been sensational. So Robertson's locked in for my team 100%, I think. Trent is obviously incredibly expensive. And at the moment, I've got Trent and a cheap midfielder. But I could do, for example, I could get like Romero and a 5 million midfielder. So still a decision to kind of make there. But I don't want Trent's price to get away from me either, because he could easily jump up to 7 million plus in 2 or 3 weeks, and then you're just not going to get him, and then you won't have him for the season, which could be very ugly. I've got Zinchenko at 3.5 at Arsenal. It's a funny one, this, because I thought I'd see him in more drafts. He looks a bit of a gift. Obviously for 4 clean sheet points. I think he'll start the season at left back, but he could play more attacking. He looks a gift, but is he? I'm not 100% sure yet. Arsenal's fixtures are really good to start off with, so I think I'll probably start with him there. I did like Laporte at 4.5, but obviously he's going to miss the start now. I thought that was a gift. But I'll start with Zinchenko. And my fourth defender is a cheap one. I haven't seen this guy in a lot of drafts. I've been really surprised. Is Doherty from Spurs at 2.5, and I'm amazed I haven't seen him in a lot of drafts, because even if he comes on as a sub, which he's either going to start or come on, he gets the clean sheet points. And when he does play, he is so dangerous. Like I say, I expect a lot of clean sheets for Spurs. When Doherty does play, he plays as the right winger. He's not a defender. So I can see him, if he starts the season well, kicking right on and getting some serious points for 2.5. So I think if he's a starter, he's massively underpriced. So I'm going to take a bit of a risk there on him. Obviously, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but you take some gambles somewhere. So that's my defense. Cheapish midfield then. Sancho, he looks a bit of a lock, like kind of Robertson. I think that he's going to be in most people's teams at his price and the fact he's a midfielder. I've gone for Mbomo. I would say I did add him in, James, before I listened to last week's podcast. He's my enabler pick. I think he's a good player in his own right. And at 2 million, you can't go wrong, really. I think I was reading an article yesterday. Manager saying that he's on top four. He's playing. I think he scored on the weekend as well in a friendly. So even if he gets one goal in 3 or 4 games and a couple of 7 ratings, he's good value. So I'm happy to have him in for 2 million. At the moment, I've got Kulusevski at 3.5, which may sound a bit mad because he may share minutes with Richarlison, but he's definitely starting game week 1. He finished the season on 5. I think he scored 2, didn't he, on the final day against Norwich?
It was unbelievable, weren't it, towards the back end of the season?
He's such a fabulous player, and I do think he'll share minutes. But at the start of the season, I think we tend to see quite settled teams. I think rotation is exaggerated, and I just can't see Conte starting Richarlison just to give him a game when Spurs know if they want to have a good season, they've got to go and win the games and play their best team. They're not just going to give minutes. So I would be surprised if Kulusevski didn't play significant minutes in the opening games. I think if he does play significant minutes, home to Southampton and home to Wolves in the first 3, I think he could be good. And he's also then a nice sort of hop off point. So even if he does have a good game or two, rises in price, you can then hop off him for someone else. This is something I didn't do last season. I think last season I looked a bit too long term, whereas I'm trying to make sure that I balance having solid long-term picks with a couple of picks like Doherty and Kulusevski who could kick off really quickly, and I just move them on if I need to. Up front, Salah obviously goes without saying. Kane for me is worth a premium ahead of Son. I do think Son is a brilliant option as well, but I think you guys mentioned last week Kane is just dream team darling in pre-season. It's been all Kane as well. He hasn't had a full pre-season for goodness knows how long, so I'm backing Kane to have a good one. And at the moment, I've got Darwin Núñez as the 5 million third spot striker. It could be Jesus. I saw you guys having a debate last week, and you all agreed on Jesus. I think Núñez has got a better opening fixture away to Fulham than Jesus has got away to Palace. Though I do think Jesus' fixtures after that are better. So, we'll talk about strategy no doubt in a bit, and when we come to the questions, but I think due to the World Cup and unlimited transfers, I'm probably looking a bit more short-term this season than I normally would, because there's no point in saving transfers back to the end of the month in October just for 2 game days in November, in my opinion. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But that's my team at the moment. Like I say, plenty of spots still up for grabs. I'm not 100% convinced. And I'll be entering a lot of teams with a lot of variations on this. But yeah, that's me at the moment.
That's good. I say a few big omissions, but I think that's how it's going to be played this year, isn't it? There's so many players, so many options that it just feels dangerous to leave any of them out.
I can see myself doing like Kane to Haaland in game week 2, mate. But you can't have like that Haaland v Bournemouth game. I hate those kind of fixtures because they're frightening. But you wouldn't be surprised, especially with the comments from the manager this week, that they're just not ready. They haven't got a team. They haven't got a defence. Would you be surprised if Haaland banged in 3 or 4 goals again? It's so scary. But I think that I can't overlook Kane in that opening game at home to Southampton either. And it'll be good to see another game out of Haaland as well. And you never know as well. If there's an injury in game week 1, you try to be a bit too clever. You'll kick yourself. So that's my current thinking.
Yeah, definitely. Go on then, James. Over to yours, babe.
Yeah, just before we move on to my team, it's good. It's a really good side, Fergie. How convinced are you on Doherty? Because who've they got who's his main competition as a Spurs fan? Is there any rotation risk there, do you think?
I think there is, but I also think with the 5 subs rule now, I don't think there's any chance that Royale or Spence will play 90 minutes. So I can see Doherty either getting 70, 80 or getting 10 or 20 regardless. And this is the beauty of Dream Team as opposed to FPL. You're still rewarded in Dream Team, right? So if Doherty comes on the 90th minute, keeps a clean sheet, happy days. And that's why I'm going for him. I do think that I'm not sure he'll start every game, but if we remember before he got injured last year, he was essential in most fantasy formats because he's basically playing as a forward.
Yeah.
And then he got injured, and then everything kind of went wrong. But I don't see why that would change. Per se, they still got Royal. They've obviously bought Jed Spence, but he's barely played a minute in pre-season. So it's very much just start the season and see how it goes. But if he does kick on, and like I say, Spurs are only playing once a week, right? For for 3 or 4 weeks, there's no need to massively rotate.
Yeah,
he could be an absolute bargain.
And
I'm struggling to see anyone else that price point who I'd rather have.
Okay, cool.
They also played Lucas Moore at wing back as well, didn't they, in a couple of games?
Yeah, but again, I'd be very surprised if Doherty didn't see some minutes if he's fit. I don't know. And if it changes, it changes, and I'll just obviously have if we hear news by the weekend that's not going to be the case. But I think he's worth a punt for game week 1 because that game against Southampton could have Spurs 3-4-0 all over it and quite a lot of goals. I've got Doherty and Perisic in FPL at the moment.
I think like you say about Doherty, he plays as a right winger half the time. Even if he is only getting 15-20 minutes, towards the back end of the game, he's dangerous. Like you say, he could be coming on sneaking a clean sheet, and you've got 20 minutes of him bombing forward against tired legs.
Thing is, if he comes on and scores, he'd get the 18-pointer, wouldn't he?
Yeah, could sneak an 18 points. Yeah, I think he's definitely going to get minutes there. Like you say, Emerson Royal probably the main threat to his minutes. With Spence, obviously, young lad brought in.
It's definitely short-term thinking, but it's purposely taking a bit of a gamble. I don't like anyone else at that 2.5 million. There's no way I'm going for like a Forest player, or I don't really fancy Creswell in game week 1. I don't really fancy starting off kind of knowing I'm going to start with a minus score. But I understand why, and it could even be I move Doherty to Creswell in game week 2 as just as an example. But I think it's worth a gamble or two to start off with and see what happens.
Definitely. Definitely.
Cool.
Go on then, James.
Well, in goal, I've gone ultra cheap. I've gone for Sanchez in there. I've looked at the points per million based on last year's scores, but we'll come on to that later. So, ultra cheap with Sanchez in goal. Trent is always a lock in for me. I think everyone's going to have to. I'd be surprised. I haven't looked at all the drafts, but I'd be surprised if we haven't all got Trent in there somewhere. I've gone for Dalot, 2.5 million. He doesn't seem to have any major competition at United. Aaron Wan-Bissaka hasn't got as many preseason minutes as him, so I've put Dalot in there for now. I'm not 100% set on that, and I'm now thinking perhaps I should have put Doherty in there after that Fergie's done his team.
I think I should put Dalot in.
My other defender is Zinchenko. Obviously, like Fergie said when he did his team, probably going to start the season at left back. But once Turney's fit, he could be out of position, couldn't he? So if he does get moved further forward, like he plays for with Ukraine, then it could be a great pick.
Yeah.
In midfield, I've got Mahrez, 5.5 million. He's a million and a half cheaper than KDB. Obviously, would have liked KDB, but there was only 15 points, I think, between those two players at the end of last season. And for the 1.5 million saving, I mean, Mahrez is, as we always say, is frustrating to own, but if you just stick with him, he generally does rack up the points over a season. So I've got Mahrez in there. Bowen at 4.5. Tricky start with Man City, but the rest of the fixtures aren't too bad. I do think he's been slightly underpriced this year. If you look at the points per million based on last year's scores, he should really be in the 5 million bracket. So potentially underpriced player there. Sancho, he's been in my draft for a few weeks now after watching a few United preseason games. He looks electric. Got to be careful with the preseason games. I'll admit that because your views can get swayed against poor opposition, but he does look good. I'm slightly concerned he's been ill for the last. I think he missed the last preseason friendly, so I'll be keeping an eye on the injury news and the press conferences. My cheapy player, I've gone for Lingard. It was a close call with Mbuemo. I'm still not 100% set on this. He's only come in and played in the last friendly, and then he's going to start the season, which is a slight concern. But if you recall when he went to West Ham, he went in there having played hardly any minutes for United, and he hit the ground running. So I think he could be fantastic this year. Whether he's a pick from the off, I'm still debating slightly. But I've been doing quite a lot of research into Forest and the way that their two centre forwards split, and then which allows a gap for the number 10 to run into. And I just thought, you know what, that sounds exactly like the position that Jesse would want, and it makes you think, well, perhaps that's why he's chosen to go to Forest over West Ham. He knows there's a World Cup coming up. It could be ideal for him. Whether it's too early to put him in or not, I don't know. Perhaps I'll get your guys' opinions on that after I finish running through the team.
Is he looking to do the 200k on offer or whatever it was a week?
Yeah, and he's only signed a 1-year deal, hasn't he? Which is a bit strange. He's just there to get minutes, collect some cash, and hopefully get in the World Cup squad, I suppose. Yeah. So up front, what would appear to be the template that's forming in pre-season: Salah, Kane, and Jesus. Jesus could become Nunes. That is a close call, that one. So that's another dilemma I'm having. What do you think, guys?
If you did go Jesus to Nunes, would you then go Salah to Haaland?
No.
Or would you keep the Liverpool double up there?
I'm not getting rid of Salah. Well, he's looked brilliant, especially in the last couple of games. He's looked bang on form, bright, back to his old self. I watch every single game. He's looking so good. Yeah. Haaland, you do worry about his minutes with Pep's comments about him not being fit and stuff, although he looked decent in the Community Shield, I thought. He was getting
90 minutes as well, didn't he?
Yeah. So, the trouble is, of course, it's going to be difficult to get them all in it. And if I wanted to go from Jesus to Haaland, then that's 2 or 3 moves to get that done. So it is a really tough call to how to start the season.
Yeah.
So that you can still have a bit of flexibility. If what happens if he does bang, and you're going to want him in, aren't you? But you're not necessarily going to want to drop Salah or Kane. So it's really difficult this season. I don't know. I think one of the other drafts might have all 3 up top, so perhaps we'll wait for that to see how that looks.
Yeah. I like the look at it. Bowen against Man City as well. Obviously, West Ham have got decent fixtures. They've got the extra, the Papa John's Conference League.
If he plays. He
might not play them, but there's some other options within the West Ham side. I think a lot of people have obviously avoided him because of that City opener, as Fergie said about starting Cresswell and having a -3 straight off the bat. But Bowen, he scored a brace against City last time out at home to City, so it could be a good shout there, bit of a differential first up.
I think maybe eyeing up Kulusevski. I'm hoping Kulusevski starts well in the first game and goes up 0.3, and Bowen does nothing and goes down, because then you get them a bargain price, don't you? But I think I've got Kulusevski to Bowen maybe kind of in my crosshairs
Yeah.
if I can afford it via a different move. But I've just stuck Haaland now in ahead of Nunes, and I need to find a cheap defender now. It's so scary. The problem is you can't get to him, can you? This is the problem, is that if Haaland kicks off, you're not going to take out Salah or Kane to get Haaland in, really. And to get from Jesus and Nunes to Haaland when they face his Bournemouth week after, you need to find 2 million minimum from somewhere. And it just ruins your team, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So tough. It's unreal.
I mean,
I bet if
they might
Spurs
all
don't
just
start-
kick off.
Yeah. I bet if Spurs don't start well against Southampton on the first game week, everyone will be jumping over to Haaland for that Bournemouth game.
But then Spurs run after that.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's really good. It's lovely for the next 4 or 5 games.
After the Chelsea game.
Yeah. But even Spurs against Chelsea, I fancy Spurs to score against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. I like it, James.
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
Do you think it's too is it foolhardy to go with Lingard this early? That is a concern of mine.
The only thing is he plays for Forest, isn't it? And it's what we can expect from Forest. It's like we know like just going up against Mbeumo, for example. Brentford's fixtures are are not bad. The opening 3 or 4 games are pretty good.
Yeah,
we know Mbeumo's going to play, and we know he can score goals in the league. I know Lingard can, but it's more the Forest thing. I was listening to the Planet FPL Forest correspondence. I don't know if you guys managed to catch that, but
I've got
it was with Mark Southerns. Mark was very he was saying we're going to struggle at the start and get better. That was the general theme I got from it, which led me to believe that I'm not sure they're going to score many goals. But I may be wrong. There's no right or wrong answer, right? And Lingard is, they got a good manager. Lingard's top player. They could, but away to Newcastle's not exactly ideal to start off with either, right? Because they're on the crest of a wave. It's tough.
Food for thought. Thank you.
Definitely, and the Delort one, Delort, obviously starting games, and it's United. What we're going to get. It'll lead us nicely into my draft, that though. Right, let's have a gander here. So I've gone for Ramsdale in the net. A little bit like Fergi says about having Lloris. Obviously, with the European games, you're not having to move on. But I do feel with Ramsdale, he might be rotated with.
Turner.
Is it Turner there now? Was Leno left, hasn't he?
Leno's going to Fulham, apparently.
Right. Well, the rotation risk there is. I've been touching on him and De Gea. Obviously, De Gea, I think, is probably going to play the European games as well. I'm guessing, and they're both at 3 million. But I've gone for Ramsdale because I just that the opening fixtures for Arsenal are just so nice, and obviously how well they've been playing in pre-season is it's just all roads are leading to Arsenal at the minute for me. Zinchenko, as touched on earlier, the out of position side, obviously starting at left back, and then I can see him moving further forward. Talented player, could add some attacking returns. Those hopefully clean sheets. So a bit of a double up there with Arsenal at the back. As a double up with Robertson and Trent. Trent is so pricey at 6.5 million, but he could so easily get away very quickly. And I could probably repeat that same thing and say for Cancelo, who isn't in my team. And again, but that is the dilemma. You can't have them all, and it's trying to balance it. I just think the double up with Robertson and having them two attacking fullbacks is the way to go in my eyes, especially in this draft. My screen's ready to turn off. Just 1 second. There we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. Turned off. Now, back on. My fourth player at the back is Diogo Dalot. Um, yeah, United players. You don't know what you're going to get under Ten Hag. They've looked decent in pre-season. He looks like he might have nailed that right back spot, stolen it from Wan-Bissaka. So he's probably definitely going to get minutes. With the 5-sub rule, there's not too much risk around the defenders. Even if they are a little bit of a rotation risk, everyone's going to be getting minutes, especially fullbacks. I think fullbacks are probably, I don't know what the stats are, but I think they're highly subbed throughout the season because they do get through a lot of work up and down the flanks. So he's sat there at the minute. It could very, very easily be Doherty. Obviously, the injury that he had last season put me off a little bit, but obviously, the more minutes he gets pre-season, and obviously, as Fergie, you know better than most, being the Spurs fan, about how you're going to start the season. But it's looking like he's going to be ready. But as well, another one I've toyed with is Sessegnon. Probably the same thing. He's probably going to get minutes on that left-hand side. Perisic, he's a bit of an old-timer. He's not going to play 90 minutes each week. Sessegnon, I think, is at 2 million. It's even cheaper, another $500,000 cheaper. Could be worth a look, just for a bit of a watch list, and might find you $500,000 somewhere where you might need it in midfield or up front.
I guess a really good shout there, Tom, because Perisic very rarely played 90 in the Conte.
Yeah.
And
he's getting on.
As well.
Yeah. Just food for thought with that one. In the middle, Sancho, who since obviously United have started pre-season quite well, he's looked back to his best. Obviously, I know it's pre-season, but he's looked good, and he's been in my drafts. I think he's nearly in every side at 3 million. And really, he's pretty much locked. A little bit worrying. I think he might have missed 2 pre-season games now, has he? Has he missed the last 2?
Yeah, they played Saturday and Sunday, didn't they, United?
Right, he wasn't in either squad.
Yeah. It's just as a virus.
Right, so, I mean, I hope he lines up and I don't have to touch that. But yeah, 3 million is a bit of a steal. But with the Delors, I could make the Delors to a Sessegnon move and Sancho to Kulusevski, so there's a little bit of flexibility around them United players. They're not absolute nailed at the minute, but if Sancho starts the season, he will be in my team, definitely. And Bumo, 2 million enabler. We discussed that on the last pod. I think we went through for our relay team. Good option. As Fergie says, you know what you're getting. As regards to Lingard, a little bit more of a risk, which could pay off, but Bumo is just, you know what you're going to get with him. He's playing up top in that Brentford side, who are a decent footballing side, so you might sneak a couple of goals early doors and bring a bit of value back into the team. One who I think is cheap as chips, and I've not seen it in the 2 previous drafts of yours, Fergie or James. Saka, at 4 million. He feels like more of a premium asset, because obviously he's on penalties. I think 4 million is a bit of a steal. He's had a good pre-season.
Yeah.
One of the better players in pre-season. To be fair, Arsenal, all their assets have looked good. It's a bit of a minefield trying to dig through them all. But I think Saka probably nailed on that right-hand side. Good option at 4 million. Cheaper than the likes of Sterling, Mahrez. And I think he might score just as well as those guys. Up top, which is, Kane. I can't play a dream team without Harry Kane. So he's nailed in my side. I don't think I'll ever move him all season unless there's an injury. Just guarantees points, guarantees goals. So, and then one of the toughest decisions was I've got 0.5 million in the bank in this side, and I've got Haaland sat there at 7. So Haaland to Salah it's there. I just think Haaland is going to fill his boots in this league. Watching the Community Shield, nothing put me off. There are a couple of chances maybe he should have scored. On another day, he could have had 3. And that's against a very good Liverpool side. Fergie, you're an XG man, are you? What was his XG? Very, very high, weren't it, for a game against Liverpool?
It was. I don't know it, but it was pretty decent.
Yeah,
He should have scored. He had like three chances, didn't he? Just
yeah,
didn't happen for him. He was a bit off it, but you can tell with the positions he's taking up.
yeah,
He's just going to get goal. He's going to get tap-ins. He doesn't even need to play well.
yeah,
Even the goal he scored the week before on his debut was tap in from 2 yards out because it's all about his positioning.
yeah. And he's a predator. So I've gone for Haaland at this moment in time. A little bit of thinking as well is obviously I've no Cancelo, and I've gone with the double up at the back with the Liverpool lads, Robertson and Trent, who obviously they can steal quite a lot of star men awards and they can get the assists and even the goals as well. So I'm thinking without Salah, without Cancelo, I think the balance Haaland is the better pick in this side particularly. And then the third striking spot goes to Jesus, who I've always liked Jesus, and he's now going to get a chance to shine at Arsenal in his favoured role, being the main man. And I think he'll also do well goal scoring wise at 5 million. It is a toss up between him and Nunez, who obviously had a decent cameo against City, looked very good. He looked good last year as well in the games, seen him against Liverpool, and that he looks like a very dangerous player. I think there's going to be a lot of goal scorers this season. This golden boot race is going to be very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, what do you reckon of that, lads?
Go on, James.
Yeah, I was going to say I like it. I don't know about the no Salah thing, obviously.
No Salah, no Salah, no Salah.
Yeah.
Only got a minimum of 2 attacking returns and opening day in the last 3 seasons.
That's Salah.
Yeah, got goal and assist against Norwich, hat trick against Leeds, and did he get a goal and assist last season as well?
Yeah,
It's a dangerous game there, Tom.
yeah, especially against
Very
Fulham as well.
Especially with his ownership.
It is. I mean,
Could I just ask you a question, just on ownership? Does ownership sway you at all in transfers?
not particularly, because I think if I want a player and you're playing fixtures, or you're playing form, and a bit of both, I think you just got to go for that player. I don't think you can let ownership sway you off.
That's fair enough.
I think Haaland. I just touch on ownership. Sorry, Ben.
Go on.
I think is that the latest ownership there that we've got up, and Haaland's 60% owned.
Yeah, Haaland's the highest owned. Believe it or not. But we can come on to that when we go through the ownership.
Yeah, not a problem. But yeah, it's scary to leave Salah out. Salah and Kane, I think I put in my article as well for the Hub, Fergi, was Salah and Kane are up there every year. And they guarantee that. And it's just... In probably 2 or 3 of my sides out of the 10, I've got all 3 of them. Kane, Salah, Haaland, and Jesus just has to take a back seat. And obviously you've got the likes of Saka just trying to cover the people who have Jesus. But yeah, it's going to be so tricky. My pod team this year, they were doing all right last year and they just fell away completely. So I'm attacking it early. I'm going to go with Haaland. And hopefully that I think that West Ham fixture is putting people off. Whereas for me, I think he could score a couple there. I think he can match Salah.
How much did you say you had in the bank again?
0.5.
Right.
So it is just I could easily just go down with Haaland to Salah, change my mind, flip flop. But yeah, who knows? Yeah. Ben,
Right.
over to you, mate.
Yeah. So I've gone for the cheapest goalkeeper that starts in the Premier League. Meslier, 1.5 million. Leeds have got half decent fixtures. They look a bit better under Jesse Marsh at the back. So I've gone for him. enables me to get Cancelo and Alexander-Arnold. And then my enabling my defence is Dallo at the moment, but I'm not sure about him at the moment. So yeah, I have to think about that. In midfield, I'll say my attack. In my attack, attacking 7, I can't fit Haaland in at the moment, so I've gone for Mahrez because I can't afford De Bruyne. So Mahrez is my City coverage. Hopefully, he ain't had the penalties stolen off him, but I reckon he will. The Haaland's going to get the penalties, isn't he? Then I've gone for Sancho, Lingard, and Embuemo. And up front, I've got Salah. I've got Salah in every single draft. I just think that fixture is beautiful at the start of the season against Fulham.
Yeah.
Harry Kane, he's just been on fire in pre-season. I think I had Haaland in there, but I don't know. I've gone the Kane now, and Jesus has been brilliant. I suppose I could do some, like you said before, take Jesus out, put Haaland in, get Saka in somewhere, and move the money around. Could do that. Get rid of Mahrez maybe.
Yeah, you'd probably have to sacrifice Mahrez there, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But then you'd have Haaland up top, so you kind of...
I've got 500,000 as well in the bank. Yes, food for thought. I just think Lingard as well. Like he signed for January. Signed in January for West Ham the season before, and he was just on fire. I'm just hoping he'll do the same for Forest. I really fancy Forest to start well. I just have vibes of like when Sheffield United came up, big at the back and quite counter-attacking. Brennan Johnson up front as well. I think he's going to be really good this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And he's a midfielder in the game as well. He's only 2.5 million. But when you see Lingard at 2 million, you're just like, oh, it's 500,000 cheaper.
Yeah, and he's proven at this level.
But Johnson's on all the set pieces apparently, so be interesting.
Scored on the weekend.
Hey?
Scored on the weekend as well.
Yeah.
He's a very good player.
Yeah, you'd know because he plays for Wales, doesn't he?
He does. He does.
Interesting one. It makes me think, and I've been doing this quite a lot throughout my teams, obviously, because we're now having to get these really cheap enablers to enable the big hitters.
Yeah.
So just looking at your side there, so Meslier 1.5 million, Cancelo 6.5 gives you 8 million. Plus your 0.5 in the bank gives you 8.5. So if you compare Meslier and Cancelo to say Ramsdale and Robertson, so for the same price, or you could switch Meslier and Cancelo to Robertson and Ramsdale. Over the course of the season, do you think Meslier and Cancelo will outscore Robertson and Ramsdale?
Whoa. Meslier is there to make me a bit of money, and he'll be gone as soon as I get some dosh off him.
But then, so if they concede, and I
know, yeah,
completely understand.
He's not going to get down much more than 1.5, is he?
It's true, but we don't know what they're doing with these price rises and drops. Like you can't read them. You don't know what they're going to do with them, do you?
Well, Wolves haven't got a centre forward now, and they've got Pedro Neto, who's just come back from injury. But I fancy Leeds at home against Wolves.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll get a 0.3 on that. But then, yeah,
nice.
Like you say, look at the fixtures; they're quite good. What have these got? Let's have a look. So,
who was it who ended up stuck with the keeper last year?
Me.
Was it?
I had Sanchez for like 4.
It took you ages to get rid of him, didn't it?
Brighton, the season before last, were solid at the back, and then last year they just kept conceding that one goal at the start of the season, and he just wasn't going up in price. But that tactic has worked for me over the years. I don't like to spend big on goalkeepers because they're only going to get 8 points maximum every week or every game day. And I just think there's a lot of money you can put into like a premium midfielder or defender or something. And they could score goals and get assists as well. Yeah, look at Leeds. Leeds have got Wolves, Southampton, and then they play Chelsea, and then they have a cup match. And then after that, it's Brighton, Everton, Brentford, Forest, through to September, and they play United then. So hopefully jump off at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to have the big players in my team, not in goal. I just think it's a waste of money for me anyway. Just my tactics.
Yeah.
I just checked to see how many penalties Mahrez scored last season, and it was 7. That's quite a lot. If he's not on pens, he's not that he'd become at 5.5. I think I'm not sure he's going to be. He's not going to score half as many points, is he? Seven penalties is quite a substantial proportion of Mahrez's points. If Haaland is on pens, I think that severely dents his appeal, doesn't it?
I'm glad you just touched on that, James, because I was meant to cover that. Because during that community shield, I was just hoping, whilst Mahrez, De Bruyne, and Haaland was on the pitch, get a penalty, which you probably should have had after Van Dijk decided to punch it out of his area. But it'd have been nice to see who were on the penalties.
Yeah, it would.
And if Haaland isn't on the penalties and Mahrez is, that's an easy swap to Salah. Because we know how big penalties can play in any fancy format. It's huge because in Dream Team, just as much as any, he scores a penalty, you get a 90th minute penalty, he scores a penalty, and next thing you know, he's star man as well. Because he gets that little boost to his rating. So it's a big question mark over City, whether they're going to come out and announce who's penalty taker, or we'll just have to wait and see, aren't we?
Probably have to wait and see. I doubt they'll tell us, will they?
Would that affect Mahrez in your team then, if he's not on penalties?
Well, he just last 2 seasons he's still got 200 points a season before last. He got 14 goals that season, 10 assists. So, and I don't think he was penalty taker the season before. I think he was at the end of the season, but he wasn't all the way through. But yeah, it's just I wanted a piece of City in my team, and I just think he's the most lethal out of the 5 million bracket that I could have had. I couldn't get. I'd rather have De Bruyne, tell you the truth, or Haaland, but I couldn't get there. So I went to Mahrez. Fancy him more than anybody else. I don't fancy Grealish. Foden could be better this year, but obviously he hasn't had a proper pre-season because he didn't travel with City. So
he looked short when he come on, didn't he?
Yeah.
I just checked, and Mahrez had 1 penalty the season before, so that sort of swings the argument back the other way, doesn't it? A bit.
It's a good season. That
I think somebody covered it in our Discord chat a couple of days ago. That's why I just come in my head there to check it there.
Right.
I think Mahrez gets the same output playing in a system with Haaland as playing with a false 9. I don't know the answer. I'm just asking, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one to see, isn't it?
Well, the assists aren't. We've got to keep remembering this is Dream Team, and assists aren't as
just the pants in Dream Team, isn't they?
Yeah, I mean 2 points for an assist is measly. It should be 3 in my opinion, but there you go. And so if Haaland's getting all the goals, and maybe Mahrez's assists might go up and his goals go down, that's not great, is it? For the Dream Team format. Yeah.
Do you know what I noticed as well with they had the inverted wingers. It's like Haaland's probably used to in-swinging balls, and they're coming inside and trying to put the ball in for him. Maybe they want to switch the wingers, you know what I mean? Or at least get overlapping wing-backs like Liverpool have that can cross the ball in. They've got Cancelo on the left, and he'll come inside, won't he, as well? So they need to get someone who's left-footed, maybe like the Cucurella, who can come down the left and cross it in, and then Cancelo can go on the right side.
Yeah, they're going to have to work it out fast. But again, he's so talented, Haaland. He'll score goals even when he's having to pick up scraps. He made 3 or 4 brilliant runs in that Community Shield, and they just never. They like looked at him and they watched him and they're like, oh shit, we're not used to this. Like, and none of them giving the ball. You're just thinking that some of these little through balls, the De Bruyne should be playing. De Bruyne looked off it a little bit for me. His final ball and stuff. But once he's on song, you can see him threading Haaland through many a time. Especially against the bigger sides. Obviously, when they're playing against the lesser sides that are going to sit in, Haaland's not going to be getting any space behind there. So yeah, that's where the crossing is going to become more important. The deliveries from the and there's nobody better probably in the Premier League than what Liverpool have got with Trent and Robertson on those flanks. Unreal their deliveries. Right. So on to the listeners' questions then. First up, 9th position last season, Matt Woolley from the Discord. What are you each aiming for this season in Dream Team? What are you aiming for, Fergie?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think in the last 2 seasons, so obviously had a good season the season before, and I think 180th last season was pretty respectable as well with my best team. My pod team didn't do incredibly well. I think it finished about like 4K on the team here, but my best team was about 180th. So I think with those 2 in mind, and I do think the fact actually that it's harder this year benefits more engaged managers because we've got experience in other formats of kind of hopping about a bit more, whereas it's very easy to just stick in a Liverpool block defence, Kane, Salah, and just ride it through the season, right? But you can't do that this year. So I think it actually benefits more engaged managers who can find a bargain and who are quite adept at switching players around efficiently and effectively. So I think with all that stuff in mind, I'm entering more teams because it's so hard. I normally I entered, I can't remember, it was 4 or 5 last year. I think I'm going to enter all 10 this year just because of how many variations you can have. I just we were talking then, I knocked up a quick team with a Spurs backline. I love that Sessegnon shout, Tom. I knocked up a quick thing with a Spurs back line and a premium 3 up front, and Saka is in there, and it's pretty decent, And so I'd like to think that my kind of feature teams, my pod team, and the teams I enter in mini leagues, my aim is always to win those mini leagues. But I would hope that I can get 1 or 2 of my teams kind of threatening the top 100 overall potentially. If I have a bit of luck along the way, I think to finish that high 3 seasons on the trot would be pretty good going. But I think it's maybe achievable. So I think that's probably my goal for the season.
Yeah, James.
Yes, it came so close last year to an amazing finish. Finished 190th in the end. Annoyingly, the Ben and Fergie pipped me in the last few weeks, which considered I was 25th at one point, did irk a little bit.
Just a bronze medal overall after having the gold the whole way.
I know. It's so
like that skater, which they turn around the last corner and put their arms up in glory because they think they've won.
Yeah.
It was that Thiago Alcantara transfer at the end of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You put him in for the Champions League final.
Oh God, yeah. So I still want to crack that top 100. That's my aim, and anything over and above that is a massive bonus. I think I'd like to be in the running again. That's for sure.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'd love to win Dream Team, but my best finish was the season Fergie won Dream Team, and I finished 19th. I'd like to beat that, and obviously win all my mini leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had 4 teams in the top 500. Well, say top 400 last year. 418th was my 4th best team. So, yeah, I didn't get any in the top 100 last year, which was a bit disappointing. So I want to do better than that.
You had a
Like
big
you
pile
said.
of teams behind, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
You
I
Mr.
had
Consistent with your
five in the top
sides.
1K.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I ended up, I think I had 4 in the top 1K. Best one was 288th. I've got to beat that this year. It is more difficult, but like Fergie says, it's going to be an advantage to more engaged managers. So hopefully, I want to win it. I do want to win it. I want to share that experience, Fergie. It'd be nice.
Lovely
Yeah.
experience afterwards, not during.
Well, yeah. Once you've got the check.
Especially when you're waiting for the points to come through.
Oh God.
I had a full
Yeah.
head of hair when when the Champions League final was going on.
Brilliant. Yeah, but a few teams at top 100, win a few mini leagues, get a few cash in the bank off it. That'd be nice. And win the Dream Team Tonic Cash League would be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to get up to a flyer with at least 2 or 3 teams, and then just build from there. Yeah, looking forward to it. Right, so a couple of questions here around strategy, especially for August. DT Patrick, question for Fergie: what will be your main tactics strategies for the first month of Dream Team? And David 87, how will you be looking to attack August, taking advantage of early price rises or holding on somewhat with next month in mind? Do you already have eyes on teams with good fixtures in September? So Fergie, strategy.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I've changed my mind in the last few days, and it was actually your guys' article you wrote for the Hub, which really brought something home to me. But normally, I would play a very patient approach. However, I did forget, probably wrongly, should forget really that we get unlimited transfers in the middle of November, which changes it quite a lot for me. Actually, I read. I think last season I was a bit reserved at the start, and I kind of took my save transfers back probably a bit too literally. I think at the start of the season, whereas I look back, I wrote an article on the Hub for the year I won. I actually read it back earlier just to see how I started off, and I attacked the early fixtures, which got me in a good position to be able to then build and sort of get a rock solid team that I could then use as a platform. So I think with that in mind, I think the fact that you can dead end your team into the middle of November, I'm far more inclined to be a lot more aggressive. I've already mentioned around potentially taking 1 or 2 players out after game week 1. Thing is, the price rises this year are going to be bigger than ever because we all need that. We all want to get that extra premium player in our team if we can. It's different. It's much different this year to previous years, I think. So, as I said, if you can gain 0.3 off someone and someone else, if you want to get in, lose it. Like if I use, the Kulizeski to Bowen just as an example, obviously that's obviously assuming a lot of things, but at the moment they're a million apart. You could potentially get them next week for 0.4 million apart, which is huge. And you get Kulizeski's good fixture and Bowen's bad fixture out of the way. So there's things like that. I think I'll be looking at a lot more early doors this year, and I think I'll be playing it a lot more attacking this year. And I think during the discussion, I think I've decided I don't think I can go without Haaland. I hate playing fantasy football when you're scared of watching a good team play and their key man is just, and you're like, what am I doing? Like that's what I feel. If when Haaland kicks off against West Ham and he scores 2 goals, I'll be like, what am I doing? Why haven't I got one of the best players in the world playing for one of the best teams in the world on penalties who score the most goals, second most goal? What am I doing? And it kind of gets to that, doesn't it? So I think with that in mind, I'm going to be a bit more aggressive and use transfers a bit earlier and chase a couple of. I would never chase a rise to a player I didn't want, but if there's an obvious opportunity, I think I would. So hopefully that kind of answers the question a little bit. It's going to be very hard to relay these all in my articles for the Hub because a lot of them are going to be kind of unplanned ones, I would guess as well. If I do start with Nunes, say, and not Haaland, and Nunes blanks and Haaland doesn't, I need to make the transfer early.
Yeah.
Whereas if the other way around, I don't need to make the transfer early. So, like, articulating the moves every week is going to be incredibly difficult. You're going to have to be really, really think on your feet. And I think this is where we get a big advantage as engaged managers.
Yeah.
I think those swings from forgetting to do a transfer and not, which the casuals will do, can be catastrophic this year.
Yeah.
So hopefully that kind of answers my strategy. Aggressive, chase rises for players I want, and then try and settle in and obviously dead end my team to the end of November, middle of November.
Yeah. Go on, James.
Oh, Fergie, fantastic strategy from Fergie there. I mean, I'll be doing the same with the team value. You've got to chase it. It's harder this year than it's ever been to get all the players that you know that are good and you want. So yeah, I'm going to be chasing the team value in August. When it comes to September, I think it's weirdly I would say it's too early to think about it. There's so much going to be going on in August. Which teams hit the ground running? Who
Exactly.
looks off the pace?
Yeah.
Injuries affecting teams. Concentrate on August. Make sure you've trying to suss out as early as you can who's going to be the pace setters in the league. That's much more important than looking at September right now, I think. Once you've got that sussed out, maybe a week or two into August, perhaps you can start thinking about September. But right now, it's all about who's going to hit the ground running and who looks off the pace for me, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it also had as well. It's probably something we've never experienced before in Dream Team. When we go to rebuild our squads with our team value in December, players like Haaland, Kane, whatever, could be 8.5, 9 million, Trent Cancelo. If you've got a poor team value, how the hell are you going to put a team together?
Yeah.
You could, that's five of your players could cost 35 million if you haven't got them already, obviously. But I think that's going to be massively underlooked. I think team value is almost, I hate to say this, it's almost more important than getting loads of points on the board because you've got much more than half the season to play in the second half. And if you can't build a team in the second half, like if you haven't to scratch around for 1 million, I mean, a 1 million, like if you think of Mbomo and Lingard now,
Yeah.
if they do well, they'll go up in price. The players that are going to be 1 and 2 million are going to be the shit players, right? So you're going to be really scratching around for just for anyone who starts.
You're gonna be playing with 8 men.
Yeah, essentially. So I think that's something I've only really thought about these last couple of days.
Yeah.
But I think it's just mega important.
Yep, it's huge. Ben?
I think you both all covered it very well there. The value, it's going to be like a stock market this season. You're jumping on and off the players like mad. And that's a very good point we said before. Just make sure you don't bring in players just because they're going up. Say, I don't know, Richarlison scores 2 goals.
Yeah, of course.
And then you bring him in, you get 0.3 on him, but do you really want him for the rest of the season? No. So don't jump on him. Bring in the right players at the right time, and obviously get rid of the players that you don't want that are going to be going down in value.
I think you could pretty much look at it as like 2 separate seasons. I think you would attack this early part, attack the price rises, and ensure you're going to build that team value. Obviously, with the team you're still going to want going into September and October. But essentially, you're going to need that team value to then start your season again after the World Cup with your unlimited transfers. And I think the people that are going to finish up high up in the top 100 or top 500 are essentially the teams that have the biggest value within that like wild card period, because they're going to have the pick of the bunch, and so many people are going to struggle. They're going to be playing with eight men because they're trying to throw a 0.8 million Bournemouth defender into the side because that's all they can afford, because they still want to have Salah or Haaland. And
yeah,
it's going to be so tricky. It's always good to get off to a flying start, and everyone needs it, but it's going to be essential that your team does well. And I think that's also the danger of picking, say, some enablers that might lose value very early, very quickly, because point three is so important. It's going to be so important. So, but you've all nailed it on the head. Like it's going to be crazy. I mean, I've got 2 weeks in France on my honeymoon, starting from Friday. But I'm already going to be setting my alarms these Thursday nights, Friday mornings, because I can't fall behind. I don't want my honeymoon to ruin the rest of my dream team season, do I? I'll be absolutely fuming. I won't speak to Mrs. for a while. So
Priorities.
Exactly. So that's why I will be setting my alarms, and I'll still be doing my dream teams, whether I'm abroad or not. So big year. Right. Enabler questions. So we've got 3 here. We've just bunched them together because they are very similar. Budgie Smugglers. Hi, I would like to know your top enablers for long term. C-Tobs, question to all. Who are your top 4 enablers, 2 million and under? And AFC for life. Many people will be looking around the 2 million for enablers. Do you feel players like Elliott, Carvalho, Elanga, who will get minutes off the bench in cup games, are better options than, say, an Mbumo, Ramsey at Villa, etc., who may start in the league but for weaker teams? You love an enabler, Ben? What do you reckon, mate?
Which one? Let's look at C-Tobs. He's got 4 enablers for 2 million under.
Yeah.
So, well, obviously, you've seen Lingard's in my team at Mbumo. I really like the look of Areola, but obviously he's got a horrible fixture to start with. I think he's going to be the number 1 keeper at West Ham this year. They've just signed him permanently now.
Yeah.
Fabianski signed a new contract as well, but he's getting on now. So I would imagine to start phasing him, maybe playing Fabianski in the Europa League this season and playing...
Yeah, switch him around.
Yeah, like it did with last year. Areola got 63 points last season just playing
did really well.
matches.
Crazy.
So it just proves how good he is. So if they play him in the league, they'll look a lot stronger, I think. Obviously, I've got Meslier, 1.5 million. I just think it's just cheap for an enabler.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's loads of enablers you can look at, like your mate Harvey Elliott.
Yeah.
But obviously, he's not going to play every game, but he could come on, get an assist. But yeah. What do you guys think?
James?
You missed Ben Johnson from West Ham.
He's 2.5. He's got 2 million there.
You sure?
I thought he was
Well,
2 million under.
Apologies for that. I thought he was 2 million.
It's still an enabler, really, isn't he? 2.5.
Yeah. I think you've gone through the main ones there, haven't you? The ones that are sensible.
Yeah, scrape the barrel there.
If you're feeling really brave, there's is it McKenna at Forest? 1 million. He's going to play, but I wouldn't go there. Not at the start of the season until you've seen what they look like defensively. Maybe later in the season, perhaps at a push. But he probably will play, from what I've read.
Yeah. I had a quick look at Fulham's team from the 2021 season to look at stats, see if any players are still playing. Anthony Robinson got 78 points in that Fulham team. He got 10 clean sheets, 12-7 ratings. I thought I was quite a good score. I did 78 points for a 1 million defender in the game this season. Obviously, he's got Liverpool up first, but yeah,
there's -7.
Yeah, but if you want a 1 million enabler, I mean,
yeah, definitely.
In terms of value, that number of points provides per million, that would be very good. That would be that would what be you would call that success.
Definitely.
If you can get 78 points for a £1 million player, you know that's fantastic. I mean, you should be looking at least 45 points, 50 points per million, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to give everyone sort of if you can get your head set around that. So it also sets your expectations as well. If you're going to bring in a player like that, you can't be expecting him to rack up points every week. So that's the way you need to think about it.
I've got one for you. It's a bit left field. So obviously touched on Sessegnon, who was on my list, but what about Lanzini at West Ham? 2 million. We've got the. If he doesn't start in the Premier League, I think he played 30 odd games last season for West Ham. Good little player, Lanzini. If he doesn't start from in the Premier League, so obviously like Ben Rama and stuff, they've got the early European games, so they'll probably be paying like, I don't know, Hungarian 4th division. I don't know who they'll be playing in them games, but someone not very good. And when he is on the pitch, he's on penalties.
Yeah. And free kicks.
So, 2 million as an early little punt for West Ham's. Where are we now with that fixture ticker? We've got rid of it.
Once you get Man City out the way.
Yeah. After Man City, I mean.
Yeah. I've always liked Lanzini as a player. He's just never seems to have really fulfilled his potential, is he?
Yeah. Talented. They're at 2 million. It could be you sneaky after, like you say, after City, they've got Forest and then a midweek game against the European game, and then Brighton, Aston Villa.
It's Europa Conference as well. I thought it was Europa League. It's Europa Conference, so they're probably going to have some really, really weak teams as well.
If he scored 5 or 6 against one of them weak sides,
exactly,
and he's on penalties. Yeah,
I've got another one. I just did this as my. I do a weekly punt on Green Arrow of I've got to do like a mega low ownership one who I think is going to have a good week, and please don't laugh. Miguel Almiron is 1.5 million. He's had 6 goals in pre-season and 2 assists. And when I said it, the Geordies in the chat were like, yes, he is going to kick on. And the only reason I would even consider him is they're home to Forest in the first game. And then they're away to Brighton. But he could be one. Just say he gets a goal in that first... Goal and star man. 13 points for nothing, basically, is like brilliant, right? He could rise in price. You could then get rid of him or hold him, but could be one if you're proper desperate. He could get you a goal in that first game and then leave him in or ship him on. But even if he gets 13 points over the first 4 games for 2 million, that's an average of a 7 rating every game, which you would take every day of the week. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, Connor will be well chuffed with that. Connor, who does blogs for us, he's been banging the.
Oh, really? He's been banging
the Alma and drum
well
in our Discord.
Oh, well done, Connor.
So he'll love that one. Yeah.
And they have a game. They're going to have a Carabao game as well, aren't they? End of the month, which some of the other teams haven't got. So if it's same as. The same as Lanzini. If he's not in the starting 11 by then, he could get a good run out against a good, get a few points there.
Yeah. Right. Onwards from the enablers. Andy Barnett. As some people are in leagues that pay monthly prizes, my question is this. The best strategy in Dream Team is to go with fixture volume and nail players. So your Dream Team had to end on Thursday, 1st of September, then who would be your 2 must-have defenders, 2 must-have mids and 2 must-have strikers? Because the best strategy is fixture volume. I'll expect none of these will be from teams in the Champions League or Europa League. We got this wrote down. I get you coming from, Andy, but in them cup games, So for the lower league teams, I think we'll still see rotation.
Mm.
And I think if you take into account that the teams like, say, I don't know, say Newcastle will rotate their teams for that cup game, that takes their games back down from 6 to 5, and it evens itself with the bigger sides like City, Arsenal, and all the other likes that are played in Europe. So I think, I think I'm just playing it as it is. I don't think that cup game is going to stop me putting in the likes of, or thinking that the better options are the likes of the players that are played in Europe, even though I'm not concentrating on European games. Do you reckon, James?
I totally agree, and that's what I had, pretty much what I had written down myself. You got to remember that, well, one, we haven't seen the cup draw, so it's difficult to pick players based on a draw that we don't know. I mean, if they get absolute minnows, they'll put out in these early rounds of the Carabao Cup, they're gonna rotate, I reckon. So it's very difficult to really push it. If you take Andy's the question at face value, though, I have picked some players that don't have European fixtures, just to go with the flow, if you like. But I think there will be rotation. So I'm not sure this is would be sensible. But in defence, I went for Connor Cody and Luca Dean. In midfield, I've got Leon Bailey and Neto, and on strikers, I went for Watkins and Tony. All Wolves, Villa, and Brentford have got reasonable fixtures. Yeah. They're half decent sides, so that's why I've gone for those ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, don't go mad picking players that are not in Europe. Obviously, this season you probably are going to need to pick 2 or 3 to enable your team. But I remember a couple of seasons ago, being in the mini league in a WhatsApp group, a fella always goes mad picking like League Cup players that play in the third round League Cup, like your Defoes and stuff like that. And then he said, because he's done that, he's got stuck with them for a few months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you can't get rid of them. I think there was only 3 transfers a month back then as well.
Yeah.
So it's not wise to do that. And I picked out a couple of players. I can't believe you didn't pick in Leicester players, James.
Yeah. Are Leicester still in the Premier League?
You were. Hey, we got further than Tottenham in Europe last year.
It's all kicking off.
By default.
We beat Rennes though. Spurs didn't beat them.
Yeah, we didn't play them, did we? Because of COVID.
You didn't play the second game, no.
Yeah.
So I've got Trippier and Cash for my defence. Maddison and I've got a few here actually. Ward-Prowse, Bruno Guimaraes, Coutinho, and then up front you could go Vardy, Mitrovic, Saha, Bamford, Tony. But like you say, just don't go mad. Maybe pick 1 or 2 that's going to enable you to. But I really like Maddison. So
he's not Bruno G. No,
huh?
he
didn't say cheap. He didn't say cheap.
No, he didn't. That's true. Yeah.
What about Bruno G? Was it something like 5-star man's in 17 games for Newcastle?
Yeah, it was something crazy like that. Yeah,
what a record that is. I touched on him in the article for the Open. I think he's a good option. 3.5 million. He's no European games, so he's just a touch overpriced, I think. But then if he carries on the way he has been doing, and Newcastle do as well as they play as well as he was last season, I mean, he's an option now. He's an option. Yeah, Fergie, what do you reckon?
Yeah,
covered.
All covered. Bowen. Oh, sorry, it's non-Europe. No.
Yeah. Right. Aman has been on. Nice short one. Do we completely rule out Edison and Allison? Obviously, touching on the price, both at 4.5 million. What do you reckon, Fergie?
No, I don't. I think the.
I do.
I don't. I think they're. If we think of the difference between sort of Cancelo, Trent, and then players like, I don't know, Matip and Laporte, there's a good 2 million sort of thing there in there. Whereas there's only 1 million between like Lloris and Edison and stuff. And I'm, I, I, I think we'll all end up with Edison and Allison in our team at some point. Anyway,
Yeah.
so if they go on a massive run of games and they get loads of value, it's just hard to get to them. As Ben said, you don't want to get stuck with, it's, I think starting with players like Pope and Sanchez and stuff are not really for me, because you're not staying with them, so you're banking on them performing well, and you're going to have to find a couple of million to upgrade eventually. So I think if you can squeeze to them, I personally think it's worth it, especially with their starting fixtures. I say there's another thing about this season that's quite unique. Like City, Liverpool, Spurs, they all start off with cracking fixtures, don't they? For like 5 or 6 game weeks. So they could, if they keep four clean sheets out of 6, which they're kind of likely to do, you could see his price. It's heading up to 5 million. It's hard to get them. So if I can find a way of squeezing up from Lloris to one of them, I will. I think.
Yeah, James.
I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, if you look at the points Edison got last year from a season-long point of view, he got 144 points last year. If you work out how many points per million that is this year, it's 32. That's actually quite low, really. So you could argue, one point of view would be, well, that doesn't provide good value. Allison, on the other hand, got 185 points, and he's the same price, and it equates to 41 points per million. So I'm more this year. I've changed. Normally, I would start with a keeper that played in Europe, but I'm actually thinking try and build value with a lower price keeper and the rest of your team, and then you can do that at a later stage in the season. Yeah, it could horribly backfire. Obviously, if you can squeeze a premium in there, it's set and forget, isn't it? You don't have to worry about that position then. And those guys, if you're looking at Edison or Allison, they're going to get you decent point hauls. But whether they offer value in the context of the whole team is the debate you've kind of got to have with yourself, I think.
Yeah. Ben?
Yeah. Allison's had a freak season last year, 185 points. Last season before, he only got 125 points. Best keeper that season was Mendy with 159. For me, was it last season? Edison had a little blip, and he was conceding a few goals, and then he dropped down to 3.3, I think it was. And then I remember a few of us jumped on him then, and I just think that's the time to get the value out of the keeper. For me, anyway, I just can't justify paying that much money at the beginning of the season. I know, like you said, if they have loads of clean sheets, they could shoot up. But there'll be other options. There'll be like Mendy, or Ramsdale, or whoever does well. That's like what's his name, Lloris. He's decent price at the minute actually, but he's probably the best one out of them. Like the cheaper bracket, I'd look at. I don't want to go 4.5 though. That's just.
Can you see yourself finishing the season with anyone except Allison or Edison though? Just out of interest.
Well, if I can't get to them, yeah, I won't. Okay. I won't do it. But obviously, if you can afford them, then yeah, I'd get them in. But no, I like to start off with a cheaper keeper because I like to get all the big names on the field. Because otherwise, you're gonna have that, say, 2 million just stuck in a goalkeeper that you could have put in the defender. I like Nick Pope. He's quite cheap, 2.5 million. I think he could be quite a seasoned keeper.
I think this is probably why I play it mid ground, because obviously we're here in one end of it as basically at some point you're probably going to end up with you want the Liverpool keeper, you want the City
Yeah.
keeper. These guys keep clean sheets for
Ideally.
fun. I would never start with them at that price at 4.5 million, but then I've gone mid ground because I would hope that, say, a Ramsdale or a De Gea or even a Lloris, because Lloris is a good price at 3.5 million. I think you put them in to begin with, and all it takes is a couple of Spurs clean sheets, a couple of City, like they might win 4-1 twice, but Ederson doesn't get a clean sheet. There's a 0.3 drop, 0.3 rise, 0.3 drop, 0.3 rise. Next thing you know, as you're looking at it, you've got to go over the fixtures there. And I can do a straight swap now, value for value. I could do Lloris across Ederson, and I could just leave him in all season. I think if you're doing it with a keeper down in the 2 million bracket, I think for that to rise or to get you near to an Ederson or an Alisson, I don't think you can quite make it with just that keeper doing well over a course. But the rises will still build your team value, so you could still sneak it from somewhere else to build that. It's just in a one transfer move. If you pick a mid-range keeper, you're more likely to be able to snatch that premium keeper when he does drop in value, if he does. Like last season, like you say with Ederson, he drops dirt cheap, and I think everyone jumped on him at that point.
Well, the keepers in the 2021 season, Mendy was the most expensive at 3.9 million. I'll have a look at the current season, last season, but also because they only, mostly they get 8 points, don't they? They might get a penalty save or something, or a star man, but it's not very likely. Apart from Jose Sarr, who was quite good at getting it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, how many times did Edison just get a 6.8 rating in the 5 points?
Yeah. And they'll only go
up many saves, is he?
1.
No. Yeah. It's a tricky one. They don't get many points keepers.
Yeah. So
usually. Alisson had an absolute freak of a season.
Yeah, so Alisson was 3.4. He was 4.5 at the end of the season. So that's why he's priced at 4.5 now. Ederson was 4 million, and the rest were like below 3.5.
Yeah. Right, another one to throw out there. Lee Hooper. My question is: when managing 10 sides, how early do I give up on an underperforming side to give myself more time to concentrate on my sides doing well? Fergie, when do you give up?
I would, instead of giving up, I would go completely rogue and then give up. I don't see the point in just giving up. You may as well go for some weird block, and instead of going for Salah, Kane, and Haaland, go for Son, Nunez, and Jesus.
Yeah.
And just try and do something completely different. If it doesn't pay off, then I'd give up. I think that's what I would do with those teams. Do it in like maybe October, November, but if you're like 150, 200 points behind, I think that would be my advice. Just go for it. You never know. You may completely turn your season around, and if you don't, you were killing it off anyway. So
yeah, completely agree.
Lee Hooper is famous for last season in our Discord for liking a punt on a certain player, like a 1-game punt, picking the player. So if you've got a couple of teams where they're a bit further behind, you could use them teams to do your 1-game punts on. What do you think of that?
And leave your top sides alone, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Cheaper than a bet.
Yeah.
Definitely. James?
Yeah, I mean, probably best not. I agree with what Fergie said. But what I did last year, and that was my first season doing 10 teams, is don't overthink the underperforming sides. Just stick some differentials in there and see what happens. And that way, you're not using too much headspace on the lower sides. But if they start doing well, then you can pick them back up. But a few differential picks in there and see what happens.
Yeah, well, I completely agree. Right, SOS has been on. Is Robbo a better pick over Trent? Is he could be in for a quicker price rise? James.
I'm not sure about that. I suppose what he's getting at is that because Robbo's slightly lower priced, he needs probably a few less points to gain value,
Yeah.
but he generally does get less points than Trent. So I'm not sure really about that one. I I don't think you would pick Robbo over Trent to start off with, just because you think he might rise faster and rise faster. It could actually go completely the other way.
Yeah. Pick both. Fergie?
Yeah, I don't think I'd do it because of the rising faster, but I do think that Robertson could match Trent or close to match him. I think that if you're struggling for funds, I think Robertson over Trent is not the worst thing you could do. I'm tempted to go without Trent because I think that Robertson will largely match him. Obviously, Trent has the advantage with more attacking returns, but again, as we know, assists you get a 10 point instead of an 8 pointer if he gets an assist, whereas we know in other games an assist is worth much more. So I'm tempted to go without Trent. I don't think you get that like with the strikers. Just for example, I don't think you get that disparity with just that 1 million.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do it just for the fact that he might rise faster, because you're talking about structuring the team to try and get an extra 0.1, which,
not worth it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Ben?
Yeah, I totally agree. I've got Trent pretty much in every single draft. If you wanted to get an extra million to go for upgrade your striker or your midfielder or whatever over that small period, you might be worth doing it. But I tend to just stick with Trent because he was second highest point scorer last year. It just proves how good he is. Just get him in your team and then try and build around him.
Yeah, definitely. So onwards to Aman again. Second question for Aman. Should we bring in West Ham players after the Man City game? Fergie.
Yeah, this is what I'm contemplating. Because I think they have. Oh, I'm going in front of me. They've got quite a good fixture, haven't they? West Ham second up,
Forest,
and then they play Europe. So I was potentially thinking, say, if I go with Doherty, for example, and it turns out that he's not what I think he's going to be. It's an easy switch to Creswell. Going into a run of 4 pretty good fixtures: Forest, 2 European games at Brighton. Whether he plays or not, it is obviously not the matter. But again, with this 5 substitution rule, I'd be very surprised if any fullbacks or wingbacks play the full 90 minutes. And also similar with Bowen as well, like a Kulizeski to Bowen, like I kind of mentioned earlier. So I don't think it's that crazy personally. And you got to assume they'll go through as well, which means they'll also have additional fixtures then into September. You can choose to keep them and move them on, but I think as I said, because of the World Cup, I wouldn't do it. I would never do it if it wasn't for the World Cup. But we are playing, in essence, less than half a season in one block here. We can afford to be a bit more aggressive. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Reckon, James?
I don't see why not. It's not that as outlandish strategy. They wait until they've got that horrible fixture out the way and then jump on. It'd be interesting to see if Moyes gives us any clues as to who's going to be playing those European fixtures. I guess that will possibly come out once we've seen the draw. Ben, do you know when the draw is by any chance? Have you looked at that?
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow
Is
afternoon.
it?
Yeah, the 2nd of August.
So that might give us a clue as to how strong a side he needs to put out. If it's minnows, which is likely to be at that stage, then I suppose the chances are he's going to keep his first teamers, for the Premier League and even the carrot. Just for the Premier League. Yeah.
Yeah. Ben?
Yeah, like you say, like Fergie said, you could bring Cresswell in and Bowen in, but obviously you got to remember that it's still four. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4? Was it 4 game weeks before the next transfers come? So
Yeah.
maybe don't plan any more than 3 transfers because you might need them 2 extra transfers for injuries. Someone big gets injured, you want him out straight away. Get someone else big in. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. Maybe just do 2. I probably, if I'm gonna get Bowen, I'll probably just start with Bowen. But I like the Cresswell move in game week 2. If, like you say, if he goes down 0.3,
That'd be nice.
then you can move on your 2.5 defender who's gone up 2.8 to Cresswell, for example. And you're gaining 0.6 there for future transfers. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Cresswell in game week 2 at 2.2 million would be nice, wouldn't it?
yeah,
Definitely.
and decent
Bit of value
fixtures,
there.
extra games.
Yeah, agree with all of that. Again, the Bowen thing, if I fancy Bowen, I'd have him at the start. I wouldn't be bringing him in afterwards. I'd be just starting with him.
No one fancy Antonio this season.
City looked shaky at the back, didn't they, though? Don't forget they're missing Laporte. They looked a little bit leggy, City.
Yeah.
I think Bowen could do a bit of damage for opening week against City. It's a good option. Right, is this your draft, this Ben? Steve Brokaw.
Yeah.
Is it virtually impossible to have a mix of Liverpool and Man City big hitters this season? Just have a quick look at your draft there. And
Yeah.
have a run through it then, mate.
Yeah, so we got this message on the Discord, so I thought I'd have a quick go at doing a draft with just Liverpool and Man City players, but I managed to get 8 players in. Probably could have got like a Calvin Phillips or a Elliott in there or a Carvalho, or a Henderson. But so yeah, I've got Salah, Haaland, Nunez up front. It's not bad, that is it?
It's all right.
Decent, yeah.
And then midfield, I got Diaz, and then I've gone for Jensen, 1 million from Brentford. So he was playing pretty much like the Ericsson role for Brentford before Ericsson came in. He was on free kicks, corners, and as soon as Ericsson came in, he lost his place. So I'm thinking he will get back in the team. He played the last pre-season friendly. Jensen and Janelt played with Norgard in midfield. Janelt's 1 million as well, and he got 58 points last season. 4 goals and 1 assist, so he could be one to enable. And then I've got our friend Connor's Miggy Almiron in there, 1.5 million as an enabler. 6 goals, like you said, 2 assists. On fire. All the Newcastle fans are crying out for it. Like, they're saying he's going to be amazing this season. Well, we'll see, won't we? So I'm looking forward to see how he does. And then the back line got Alexander Arnold, Cancelo, Robertson, and Ake's 3 million. He's in there at the moment because he's playing. Laporte's injured. Stones has not had much pre-season, so it looks like Ake will start. It might be a play you can have in from the start and then gain some value on him from the clean sheets, possible goals, and then sell him on again. And then my mate in goal again, Meslier, 1.5 million. So that's 50 million. What do you think,
bad.
lads?
Bloody decent, fair play.
It's not bad, is it? All the big hitters there, really. Probably just missing out on De Bruyne or Mahrez, but
Yeah.
Decent side. Shows it can be done. Got to have a few enablers there. Jensen's a big shout from Brentford, but yeah. Right, I'm on again. Third question. Should 2.5 million Martinelli be in our attack? He's a good option, isn't he? But can he swallow one of them striking spaces?
It's a shame he's a striker, isn't it?
Yeah, massively.
Well, that price, you could go for 2 premium strikers and then the Martinelli, and then you can get your De Bruyne plus your premium defenders as well, and then obviously you work around that with your cheapos.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Fergie?
I think you sold me on Saka earlier, so when you're talking about Saka. So
Yeah,
I think that I've only got eyes for him now.
yeah,
You
yeah,
could,
4 million, as you say, kind of, and he's on pens, right? Well, it
Yeah.
looks like he's
Yeah.
on pens as well. So I can't really look past him now, as you say with Martinelli. He's not guaranteed to stay in the team. I'm sure he'll have a
Yeah.
good season, but he occupies that space where Zinchenko could play, Smith Rowe could play.
yeah,
He's still young, probably rotated. Whereas Saka's, well, if he's fit, he plays, don't he?
Yeah,
yeah,
such a good
definitely.
price.
And he's a midfielder, so I think I'm struggling to look past Saka now. I think I've actually put him in my team.
Excellent,
Another play about.
excellent. James,
I think you covered that one. Yeah.
yeah, happy days, happy days. Right, Connor, will be very happy that you heard Miguel Miron's name earlier on. His question is: do you guys think that having at least one 5 million midfielder is the optimal strategy to start the season? There's that many good midfielders at that price. You could take a gamble on one of them. If they don't perform to your liking, you've always got the switch then to another 5 mil mid. Could also be great for juggling around for price rises and drops. Just feel like a team is too weak if you don't have at least one 5 million plus. What do you reckon, Fergie?
I think ideally, but then it means you can't have a premium 3 and Trent. Well, you could, but then you probably have to have them Bummo, Almer on.
Yeah.
So I think I think you need to make a decision on whether you want the 3 premium strikers, and I think this is why I love doing this podcast with you guys. Is I think because we all share a different outlook to the game, that we generally arrive at pretty decent conclusions, and I think I'm going with the 3 premiums. I'm not maybe Robson over Trent potentially and Saka, which means I'm not going to be able to have a 5 million. So I think if you can, you should, but then I'm not sure that Diaz plus a 2 million upgrade elsewhere will be able to hold off Haaland if he really kicks off.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I think Saka and Bowen are 2 I'll definitely look at, but I'm finding it hard to go any higher than that because I don't think it's an outstanding choice. I think Diaz will probably be decent. He will probably do well, but there's no one there for me anyway who I think is underpriced. You know, if De Bruyne was like 5.5 or 6,
yeah.
But I don't think there's anyone like that personally. I know James likes Mahrez. I'm not as keen on Mahrez as James is, but especially if you're having Haaland. But I think that's my view. Ideally, yes, but it may just not be possible.
Yep. James?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good players in that 5 million bracket. There's Madison, Sterling, Mount, Foden, and Diaz. They're all players with massive potential. Obviously, it's a shame Madison doesn't have European fixtures this year. Yeah, it's tricky. I think Connor's. I think if you can get one in, I think it is. It's a decent strategy to be able to move between that players in that price point. But like Fergie says, it does stop you from getting that heavy hitting front line. So I think you've kind of got to make a decision which way you're going to go. But there's no doubt there's some big potential in there. I mean, no one's talking about Sterling at the moment, probably because he's gone to Chelsea. We don't really know how they're going to fire, do we? And they haven't bought a number 9. Looks like Havertz is going to start the season. He's not a massive goal scoring player. Maybe Sterling will be that guy to step up and score a hatful of goals. We've seen him have really good seasons at City. So and the likes of Mount, and Foden could break out. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't think that's a crazy strategy at all. But yeah, you've got to decide which way you're going to go, whether it's heavy up top or one of those more premium midfielders.
Yeah.
I think you covered it all really good there, lads.
Yeah, definitely. I think the value is probably in that just below there in the Saka, Sancho at 3 million, and Kulizeski 3.5 million. I think they're probably similar players or similar. Similar, probably going to have similar outputs to the likes of Mount, Foden. So yeah, that extra few million takes you a long way as regards to your big hitting premiums up top and at the back. So yeah, it's not essential for me, but it would be nice to have that luxury being able to move around that price point. Jason Jones, limited for time, gents. So it would be great to just have your 5 best teams plus Paul Max. But can you DM me as prefer all and sundry not to copy me? Yeah, don't worry, Jason. We'll get them all sent over to you, mate. We'll roll them all up into one and send that DM over. Not a problem, pal.
I had a question earlier on the Sky Pod. It was, what is the best team for game week 1? We're like, flipping heck. We talk for hours, and then that's the question we get.
Here we go. Henry Cartridge, thoughts on leaving Trent and or Cancelo out of your final drafts? Do Mahrez and Saka stay on penalties after big name strikers arriving? Ben, leaving Trent or Cancelo out of your drafts?
Well, at the moment, my pod team, I've got Cancelo and Trent in. I'm hoping to keep them in there because, like you say, Trent and Cancelo like midfielders with the added bonus of clean sheets. So, yeah, I'm going to keep them in there for now. Saka, like you said, he's on pens. Good price, 4 million. Looks like a steal. And Mahrez is a bit up in the air at the minute for me. Like you say, can you get Haaland in and change Mahrez to a cheaper midfielder, maybe? Do you think, Fergie?
Yeah. Well, you can't have both. I don't think. If you want 2 or 3 people, as I said earlier, I think you can get away with like Robertson, and I think in my draft at the moment I've got Trent in there, but I just can't see how I can afford him. I think you can.
Sacrifice, isn't it?
Such a tough question. I tend to look at the premium strikers as the ones who like fly up in value and are hard to get to. But the defenders did that last year, didn't they?
They did.
The Chelsea defenders did that last year, didn't they? So maybe I should be looking at these more a bit like those players and just go with Trent and Cancelo and fill the holes, and or Trent, or at least one of them. But it's so tough. Yeah, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, it's tricky. I've gone earlier, obviously. I thought the loss of Laporte could impact on Cancelo's clean sheets.
Not much, yeah.
And I think for that, having so that sends me towards Trent at 6.5 million rather than Cancelo. Whereas usually, if City were probably looking more solid, Laporte was fit alongside Diaz, I'd probably look at more Robertson to cover Trent and then go Cancelo as well and have the bit of both from them. But because of the way it's looking at the opening, that's why in quite a few teams I've done the double up on Robertson and Trent. I just think Liverpool might start the season better.
Yeah.
It's literally it.
It's hard, because City, we don't even know what the back line is. So it could be Stones and Ake, or Diaz and Ake, or Diaz and Stones. And if one of them gets injured and Laporte's out, they're in real trouble, aren't they? So
yeah. Ben?
I've already answered.
Oh, you already touched on you. Sorry, James.
Yeah,
back to you. Repeat it.
I don't think I've got anything to add to that one.
Yeah. Right, Flower Pot Man. Last question of the evening. It's a bit of a marathon, this. Fergie, you had an absolute, it's like a bit of triathlon.
Come on, mate. I wouldn't have it any other way. Hit me with a question.
A lot of discussion around it being different this year in Dream Team with so many options. Flower Pot Man disagrees and thinks within the first few months there'll be a few enablers appear who are auto picks. The premiums will become clearer and there'll be more similar teams than people think sooner rather than later. this has happened in years gone by where it looked a minefield, but it basically gets dictated to us. What do you guys think? What do you think, Fergie?
I think, I think I disagree. Just because there's probably about 7 or 8 premium must-have players, and you just can't have them all. And I just think everyone will have a massive variation of teams. Like if you think Trent, Cancelo, De Bruyne, and the 3 premium forwards will all, it's not even will, will they will score incredibly well, and that's not even including Son, Robertson, Mahrez.
Yep, all the supporting acts.
So I don't think it will be. I think and the way each team will be built, they'll be built so differently that you can only move them from one player to a certain player. So if you to kind of get to Bowen is going to be hard for some people who just go with Sancho, Mbomo, and Brennan Johnson. They won't be able to move to Bowen, so they'll have to move someone else to someone else. So I just think the way each team will be so different, and I do think each team will be incredibly different, but from a pool of, say, 25 players, but huge variations.
Yeah.
That I don't think there'll be. I'd be amazed if there was a template. And we haven't even mentioned, right, Bruno Fernandes. There's so many players we haven't even mentioned because we just can't get to them from all different teams.
Yeah.
Chelsea, we haven't mentioned Sterling.
Yeah.
Reece
James, Chilwell.
Reece James, Chilwell. So many. If Martial starts season and kicks off, do you squeeze him in at 3 million? Is it Rash? I think Rashford's a midfielder, isn't he?
Forward, 3.5 forward.
Oh, he's a forward. Sorry, okay, but yeah, there's a lot of players. If Antonio starts the season the way he started last season, we haven't even mentioned any of these players yet because we're so focused on trying to squeeze in the best from the best teams.
Yeah,
that's my view. Obviously, Flower Pot Man's a really experienced, great manager, and we're not to know how it's going to play out. But I'd be very surprised if we fell into a template, personally.
Yeah, James.
Well, inevitably there will be some consolidation and some template players that do emerge, but I do think this season is different. There's just so much more choice. Well, I say choice. I mean, everyone's going to have to pick from a wider pool of players because you just can't get all the players, all the top players you want. When the World Cup comes around with the wild card, that will consolidate even further. So he might have a point, but I do think this season's a little bit different to previous seasons. I wouldn't expect us, even after the World Cup, to come out with everyone going with a Liverpool back line, or a City back line, etc. I just don't think you'll still be able to afford it. So, it'd be interesting to see, though. Ben, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think you've all got good points. Flower Pot Man's got a great point. I just think this season feels so much different to normal Dream Team seasons. Like, normally you can just pick 10 players you want and then one enabler, and they're usually all playing Europe. You never even look at Nottingham Forest or Brentford players or wherever.
Yeah.
This season, it's opened the pool. They've made the defenders the good defenders, the premium defenders, so expensive that you can't pick them all. Like last year Trent was only 4.5 million. I think Cancelo was 4 million at the start of the season.
Yeah.
This season
Too easy. It's too easy to pick them.
Yeah. Salah was only 6 million last year. That was just a steal.
It shows.
It's like last year you could pick between Reece James and Cancelo, but at your leisure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year you've got to pick between Reece James, Cancelo, and compromising your whole team.
Yeah, basically.
Incredibly tough. But it's brilliant. I'm not moaning about it for 1 second. I think it's
No,
brilliant.
definitely not. Every 0.5 million is counting though.
Yeah.
And I think they've priced it really well. They've priced it
Agree.
difficult. It's going to be really interesting. I'm going to say, and obviously the wild card. Obviously, when wild card hits Sky Fantasy Football, you come out of the other end, the overall, and everyone's template. But prices don't change in that game.
Exactly. That's the
In,
difference.
in this game, everyone's going to be heading in to this wild card period with a different budget. So everybody's going to come out the other end with either a very, very good team because they managed to build a very nice budget, or a team where they're desperate to like try and get some price rises from somewhere because they've done pretty shit or shoddy in the first half of the season. It's going to be so interesting.
I got a question for you. Would you rather be 100 points ahead in your mini league at the World Cup, or have 5 million more budget?
Oh, you've made it tough there with the 5 million.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of points, isn't it? As well.
Yeah. I think you've got to go for the money and trust your judgment in the second half of the season that you've picked the right players with that budget.
Yeah.
The second half is much longer than the first half. I think it's
Yeah.
17 game weeks.
Yeah.
And obviously in the second half, you'll have 21 game weeks, but you'll also have all the FA Cup and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where stuff is won and lost, right? It's
business end.
I think I'd go for the money. I think I'd fancy myself 100 points behind to get it back with 5 million more.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think I would take the money as well.
And that's interesting because that's when we're thinking about like our strategy. I know 5 million's a lot, right? But
get those alarms set Thursday night, Friday morning.
Absolutely.
Make sure we cannot miss them.
10 o'clock Thursday night for me is always the time after the European games have finished.
Yeah, got to make sure we're all planned up for them. Bigger this year than ever, I think. Yeah, and it's been a marathon tonight. It's been great to have you, Fergie. Always great to listen to your insight, and obviously as a winner, you know what it takes. Hopefully one of us or one of our patrons or one of the hub members can follow in your footsteps and bring that trophy home and that big check. But thanks as ever for coming on. Cheers, we appreciate it, mate.
No, thank you guys. I really enjoyed it. You've helped me loads as well. It's always great to chat it all through. Superb stuff.
No problem, mate. So that's the end of the show. I'm off of my jollies for the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of James with the editing and the hosting. So it'd be James and Ben. I don't know whether you're going to have a guest on next week. I'm not too sure, but I'll leave that all to you as I go on my honeymoon. I try and relax, but that's not going to happen, is it, when I'm trying to chase these price rises? If you're listening on YouTube, below in the description, there is a link to the Fantasy Football Hub, which is absolutely essentially going to do well in any format of the game. I'm sure as a fantasy football player, you'll have heard of the Fantasy Football Hub with all the tools and the articles and team reviews and that. They've got some very, very talented people on there. Get yourself signed up to that as well. If you want to support the lads on our Patreon, go across to patreon.com/Dream Team Tonic, and price of less than a coffee a month. You can get into our Discord, get amongst our other Dream Team managers. Got a great group going there, and I think this is the last one before the season starts. Obviously, you've had our team reveals. It's always a busy time pre-season. Just best of luck to everybody that listens, whether that's on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, through the hub. Best of luck to your start to the season. We're going to be here every week, all the way through. whether that's 2 of us, 3 of us over the summer holidays as we get our holidays in. But yeah,
I've got a few guests lined up, mate.
there you go. Ben's got a few guest lines up, so they will be a trio.
Yeah.
You just won't have Tony on there pissed up. So,
You'll just be pissed up on holiday.
yeah. So I'll try and be in touch. I'll probably be active a little bit on the Discord and stuff and on Twitter, but yeah, make sure you keep an eye out for them price rises. And best of luck. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you after the holidays.
Cheers all.
Yeah.
Thanks
Good
all.
luck trying to win the 75k.
Yeah, definitely.